Imagine checking your investment account one morning and seeing a number that once felt impossible. $1 million. 7 figures. For some people, it's a dream. For others, it's a target they've spent decades chasing. But here's what's interesting. The biggest change isn't the number itself. It's what happens after you reach it. Most people assume becoming a millionaire means buying luxury cars, taking extravagant vacations, or living some celebrity lifestyle. In reality, the most powerful change happens quietly, behind the scenes, inside your financial life. Because once you have $1 million invested, the rules of money begin to change. The game you've been playing for years suddenly looks completely different, and the reason has nothing to do with status. It has everything to do with momentum. Today, we're going to explore why everything changes after you hit $1 million invested, why the first million is often the hardest, and why many investors discover that wealth starts growing much faster after reaching this milestone. Let's dive in. Chapter 1: The first million is different. Most financial journeys begin the same way. A small savings account, a retirement contribution, a few dollars invested here and there. At first, progress feels painfully slow. You invest for months, sometimes years, yet your account barely seems to move. You contribute thousands of dollars. The balance rises, then the market drops, and suddenly it feels like you're moving backward. This stage frustrates many people. Some quit entirely, because what they don't realize is that the beginning is supposed to be slow. When you have $10,000 invested, a 10% return generates only $1,000. Helpful? Sure. Life-changing? Not even close. At $50,000 invested, a 10% gain produces $5,000. Better. But still not enough to dramatically change your financial life. The problem isn't your strategy. The problem is scale. And that's why the first million matters so much. Chapter 2: Your money starts working harder than you do. Think about your job for a moment. You work. You get paid. The amount you earn is tied to your time, effort, and skills. There are only so many hours you can work. Only so much energy you can expend. But investments operate differently. They don't sleep. They don't take vacations. They don't call in sick. Once your portfolio reaches $1 million, even average market returns begin producing meaningful numbers. Imagine a 7% annual return. That's $70,000 in growth. A 10% return? That's $100,000. In a single year, without adding another dollar yourself. For many households, that's equal to an entire salary. Suddenly your investments are generating income comparable to a full-time job. And that's when people realize something extraordinary. Their money has become a worker. Chapter 3: The psychological shift. The most dramatic change isn't mathematical. It's mental. Before reaching 7 figures, many investors constantly worry. Am I saving enough? Am I behind? Will I ever have enough money? Can I really retire someday? Those questions create anxiety. But reaching $1 million often provides proof that the process works. Not luck, not gambling, not shortcuts. A proven system. Years of investing, years of patience, years of consistency. The milestone becomes evidence that wealth building is real. And once people experience that realization, their confidence changes forever. They stop chasing quick wins. They stop looking for miracle investments. They trust the process, because they've already seen the results. Chapter 4: Compound growth becomes impossible to ignore. For years, financial experts talk about compound growth, but many investors don't truly understand it. Not because they are incapable, because the effect is almost invisible at small balances. At $20,000 invested, compound growth feels tiny. At $50,000, it's noticeable. At $100,000, it starts getting interesting. At $1 million, you can't ignore it anymore. Every percentage point matters. A 1% gain equals $10,000. A 5% gain equals $50,000. A 10% gain equals $100,000. The numbers become large enough to capture your attention. And this is where the snowball effect becomes obvious. Your returns begin generating returns large enough to create meaningful momentum. That's why many wealthy investors say the second million comes faster than the first. Chapter 5: Your financial fear starts to shrink. Let's be clear. $1 million doesn't eliminate every problem. Life still happens. Markets still fall. Unexpected expenses still appear. But something important changes. Fear loses power. Many people spend decades worrying about financial disaster. What happens if I lose my job? What happens if the economy crashes? What happens if an emergency occurs? With substantial investments behind you, those questions become less frightening. Because you have options. Options create security. Security creates confidence. And confidence creates freedom. Financial freedom isn't necessarily about never working again, it's about knowing you don't have to make decisions from a place of desperation. Chapter 6. Opportunities start appearing. Something fascinating happens when you build significant wealth. The world begins offering opportunities that weren't available before. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to invest in real estate. Maybe you want to work fewer hours. Maybe you want to switch careers entirely. Before reaching financial stability, those decisions often feel risky. After building a substantial investment portfolio, they become possible. Because wealth isn't just money. Wealth is flexibility. It's the ability to choose. And choice is one of the most valuable assets anyone can possess. Chapter 7. The next million is easier. Here's the part most people never expect. The journey from $0 to $1 million is usually much harder than the journey from $1 million to $2 million. Why? Because your portfolio is now doing much of the heavy lifting. Imagine two investors. One has $100,000 invested. The other has $1 million invested. Both earn 10%. The first investor gains $10,000. The second gains $100,000. Same return. Massively different outcome. As balances grow, investment gains become increasingly powerful. The larger the snowball becomes, the easier it is to gather more snow. That's why wealth often accelerates after reaching 7 figures. The math begins working in your favor at a scale most people never experience. Chapter 8. The real lesson. The biggest lesson isn't about becoming a millionaire. It's about understanding what creates millionaires. Consistency, patience, discipline, time. Most people focus on the destination, but wealth is built through the process. The $1 million milestone simply reveals what was happening all along. Small contributions, year after year, market growth, compound returns, financial habits. The real magic isn't reaching $1 million. The real magic is becoming the type of person who can stay committed long enough to get there. Conclusion. Everything changes after you hit $1 million invested. Your money begins generating meaningful growth. Compound interest becomes impossible to ignore. Financial fear starts shrinking. Opportunities expand. And the path toward future wealth becomes much easier. But perhaps the most important change is this. You finally understand that wealth isn't built overnight. It's built through thousands of small decisions repeated consistently over time. The first million isn't the finish line. For many investors, it's the moment the journey truly begins. So if you're still working toward that milestone, keep going. Stay consistent, stay patient, and remember, the wealthiest investors aren't always the smartest. They are often the ones who simply refuse to quit before compound growth had a chance to work its magic.